So welcome to this webinar of the section of Archives and Human Rights of the International Council on Archives. This webinar will be recorded. My name is Jens Bohl. I'm chair of the section of Archives and Human Rights. I will be moderating this webinar. And today's topic is the European network of official authorities in charge of secret police archives. The geographical scope of this network is Central and Eastern Europe. We have 4 speakers today. First, Mr. Marek Dąbrowski will introduce the network, and then we will listen to brief presentations of member institutions in Poland, Romania, and Hungary. At the end, there will be a question and answer sessions. Please type your questions in the question and answer category. You can enter your questions there, not in the chat. So in case we don't have time for answers to all questions, by the end of this webinar, we will follow up by email after this session. So, without further ado, I'll give the floor to Mr. Marek Dąbrowski. So, you work at the archive of the IPN, the Institute of National Remembrance of Poland, and you will talk to us about the network. Marek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jens. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, first of all, let me express my gratitude to the organizers of this webinar and thank you for the invitation and warm welcoming. I'm glad our meeting generated so much interest. Now, without any further ado, let's begin with the presentation. I will try to share with you my screen. Just a moment, please. Okay, I just need a confirmation that you can see my presentation.
Yes, looking good, yes.
All right, shall we get started?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, as I mentioned, my presentation should last about 10 minutes. I assume that English is not a native language for most of us, so I will try to speak a bit slower than I usually do. If you have any questions or there will be a need for clarification, please feel free to send your question via chat. We will address them during the Q&A session. Just a moment, please. Now, so in a nutshell, the European network of official authorities in charge of the secret police files is the only organization of its kind that brings together specialists in managing a complex and specific documentation of former communist services in Central and Eastern Europe. Now, just a few words about the history of the European network. The organization was established in December 2008 as a platform of cooperation among institutions responsible for preserving and managing archival collection of communist-era state security services in Central and Eastern Europe, including those of former German Democratic Republic, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Hungary, the Czech Republic, and Bulgaria. The photo on the slide shows the founding meeting of the network in Berlin in 2008. In 2026, the network have a total of 8 permanent members and 5 partners, associate institutions. All of them will be listed later on. The network activities primarily focus on raising public and political awareness of how societies address the legacy of communist rule. A key component of these activities is educational work and public outreach. The network aims to serve as a forum of the exchange of information related to archives, research, legal framework, and historical and political education. As already mentioned, the network currently consists of 8 permanent members and 5 associated members. Now you can see them on the map from one of our common exhibitions called "And Files to be Destroyed." Here, all institutions that constitute the network are listed, grouped into permanent and associate members. This year, the National Council for the Study of the Securitate Archives from Romania is the presenting or chairing organization of the network. Today, we will take a closer look at 3 of these institutions from Poland, Hungary, and Romania. They are marked in red in the table. Unfortunately, due to the time constraints, we won't be able to present all of them. Like many other archivists, we face similar challenges when dealing with archival materials, such as proceeding, digitalization, the application of new technologies, or providing access to documents. Additionally, due to the specific nature of the documentation handled, we must deal with various formal and legal requirements that differ from country to country. This requirement will be discussed later in reference to Poland, Hungary, and Romania. The network annual conferences are an important part of its activities, providing a forum for discussion of current project and future plans. The network also organizes conferences open to the public, focusing on communist secret police archives, their legacy, and approaches to addressing the past. At the last conference, held in Warsaw in 2025, we had the opportunity to host Mr. Jens Boel, representing the Human Rights and Archives section of the International Council on Archives. We really value our collaboration with the CAI and look forward to its continuation. The exchange of experiences between institutions within the network in the same field allow us to focus on shared challenges and on possibilities for addressing them through joint activities. Some examples are presented on the slide. Member institutions may also independently undertake international projects, including training programs and workshops. Picture number 3 documents training workshop on digitalization, record management, and the safeguarding of archival materials for Ukrainian archives held in September 2025. The workshop were organized by the IPN Archives in cooperation with the International Council of Archives and the International Alliance for Protection of Heritage. An important source of information on the network and its origin is the printed handbook published in 2014. However, given the time that has elapsed since its publication, it may lack more recent information. For example, it doesn't include information about institutions that joined the network after 2014. For example, Albania. The network also organizes joint activities and projects, including exhibitions and collective appeals addressed to international organizations. Just 2 examples from both recent and earlier history. In November 2023, 31 memory institutions from Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Ukraine submitted an application to UNESCO to include birch bark letters sent from Gulag prison camps into the memory of the World Register. The network supported these initiatives through its media channels. In 2010, the exhibition And Files to be Destroyed was launched. Its primary objective was to present the operational model of archives of former communist secret police services in Poland and other Central and Eastern European countries. The main online source of information about the network is the website securityarchives.eu. You can see the direct address on the slide. The portal provides information on current event, past initiative, individual member organization, their archive holdings, and rules for accessing records. Before concluding, one additional project available online that should be mentioned, a website dedicated to international cooperation among former communist-era state security services, launched in 2016. The website provides access to documents from meeting of these services addressing issues of political and ideological subversion and foreign intelligence. This brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. My contact email is provided on the slide. I look forward to see you at the Q&A session. Now I will hand it over to the organizers.
Thank you very much, Karek. Thank you for this clear and interesting presentation, and also for your kind words. Just one small detail: the International Council on Archives uses the acronym ICA and not the CIA for obvious reasons. Not even in French, we always use ICA.
Yes, sorry for.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's because of the hurry, probably.
But I understand in this environment, it may seem more relevant to use CIA. But then we will move to the presentations of the individual institutions. So now we'll listen to the presentation of the archive of the Institute of National Remembrance in Poland by its director, Mrs. Marcina Kruk. So Marcina, please.
Thank you very much, Jens. Can you see my screen?
Sure.
Yes.
But I can't. Give me a second, because I have to. Why I can't see this?
Okay, it's fine.
I need my presentation also, because it's ja muszę widzieć, z tego nie poradzę sobie. Okay. I think you can see my presentation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry for that. I'm really glad I can be here. Thank you very much for the invitation and for preparing all this webinar. It's not easy job to present the institution like Institute of National Remembrance during 10 minutes, but I will try. Of course, I will focus on just a few key points. Is my presentation changing?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me briefly outline some basic information about the Institute of National Remembrance. Established by Parliament in 1998, it became operational in 2000. Its creation was a response to a strong public demand for access to records produced by the communist security apparatus. Access understood as an element of justice and a form of redress for victims of repression and their families. From the outset, the Institute was designed as a multifunctional body, combining an archive, an educational and research division, and a commission responsible for investigating crimes. Over time, its mandate was expanded to include vetting procedures, to search for burial sites and identification of victims, commemorative activities, and the removal of symbol of communist propaganda from public space. Importantly, the Institute is independent of the government, although it's financed from the state budget. Only Parliament may amend the budget proposal prepared by the Institute. Also, the president of the Institute is elected by Parliament. The IPN archives collect, process, and provide access to records documenting the history of the Polish nation between 1917 and 1990. The core of holdings consists of documents produced by communist apparatus of repression between 1944 and 1990, including records of civil and military security services, as well as the public prosecutor's office, courts, and prison authorities. The archives also contains records from the period of the Second World War, produced by the German and Soviet repressive apparatuses. In a significant part of the holdings consist of the materials donated by associations and private individuals, very often victims of repressions. This part of the collection is the focus of a dedicated project entitled Archive Full of Remembrance. The IPN archive collections comprise 94 running kilometers of files, not only paper documents, but also videos, recordings, photographs, maps, and artifacts, which are stored in 15 locations in Poland. We manage our archival resources through an electronic digital archive system. It combines a descriptive database of holdings with a digital repository containing all digitized materials. Every IPN employee has direct access to this repository, and external users are provided with digital access by receiving a secure link by email. Digital archive is designed to record every action related to a file, from its inclusion in the archival holdings to its release. Digitization is a key priority for us. We digitize all types of materials, even the items we digitize in 3D technology. You can see this kind of our work on websites, on one of our websites. We digitize documents both to protect originals and to ensure fast and convenient access for authorized users. This brings me to the question, who is authorized to access to the IPN archives? The IPN archives operate under a dedicated legal framework separate from the general state archival system. At the same time, the archival holdings of the IPN form a part of the national archival heritage and are subject to permanent protection. Access to the IPN archive is regulated by a dedicated act. As a general principle, individuals have the right to access documents concerning themselves and their close relatives, and such records are not anonymized. Everyone also has the right to access the personal files of former security officers, completed vetting proceedings, and documentation concerning public figures. Researchers and journalists are granted access to archival records for professional purposes, and the documents made available to them are not anonymized. Victims and their families also have the right to know the identities of those who investigated or surveilled them, including both officers and secret collaborators. Access to the records is granted upon application, and responsibility for the use of the documents rests with the applicants. Importantly, access doesn't depend on where records are physically stored. Digital copies or originals are always made available at the location indicated by the applicants. The Institute of National Remembrance is acquired to publish online archival inventory containing description of the documents. A complete database of collection description is available in the IPN reading rooms. Both of these tools help journalists and researchers conduct their own research. The mission of the Institute of National Remembrance is to cultivate the memory of victims and losses suffered during and after the Second World War, and to document repressions and resistance under German, Soviet, and Communist rule. This work is closely linked to defending human freedom and dignity, and to addressing the legacy of crimes committed by totalitarian regimes. As part of this mandate, the mission of the IPN archive is to preserve and provide access to records documenting repression and resistance in the 20th century. By securing these records and making them available, we support the needs of victims, enable research, and contribute to a better understanding of the mechanism of past violence and abuse of power. The archival work also underpins remembrance, education, and form of public recognition for those who opposed oppressive regimes. This mission is released through a range of practical and interconnected activities. These activities include supporting state procedures for honoring victims and heroes, educational programs for children, students, and teachers, and ensuring broad public access to archival knowledge. A significant part of engagement takes place online through thematic portals, databases of victims or perpetrators, and diverse publishing initiatives as a book, audiobooks, and podcast. About our specific activities, I could speak even 2 hours, but I don't have enough time today for this. And this presentation could only touch briefly on the work of the IPN and the IPN archive, as each of these areas deserve much deeper discussion. I hope it has nevertheless sparked your interest, and I invite you to learn more through our online resources and future international events like the conferences and workshops. In June, we organize a big conference. Maybe you will be interesting. Find on our website the information about this conference. Thank you very much for your attention. Maybe one more last one, because I think I speak too long. In Poland, in the Institute of National Remembrance, we often hear that the IPN archive is the heart of the whole institution. We are very proud that we are heart of this institution, but we also understand how important and how huge work is to do. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Marcina, for this. You managed during this brief time to give us a very good understanding, I think, of the mission and the scope, the activities of the IPN, and of the heart of the IPN, the archive. Thanks a lot. And
the truth is, everything started IPN. Each book, each educational activity, each prosecutor starts here in archive.
Yeah, and you have a very strong digital presence as well now, and we can come back to this during the question and answers as well. Again, I'll just repeat that to all those of you who are listening to this, that you are most welcome to ask questions here at the questions and answers category, to type your questions there. And then we will move now to Romania. I'll give the floor to you, Madeleine Vasile-Hodor. You are the Vice President of the National Council for the Study of the Securitate Archives, which you will present to us. So please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Joel. I will load the presentation. You can see it?
Yes.
It's okay?
Yes, maybe you just go to the presentation mode.
You can display on the full screen. That's great now. You can see it.
Perfect.
Okay. First, I would like to thank Jens for hosting our meeting and also for his presentation last year in Warsaw. Very nice meeting, and then a very nice talk we had about our shared interests in regarding human rights and archives. So again, thank you. I will try to make a brief presentation of our institution, the National Council for the Study of Securitate Archives, following the items that our hosts were putting. First, a brief history of our institution, then a brief presentation of our archive, and then our mission and our goal towards human rights and archives regarding human rights. So, first of all, National Council for the Study of Securitate Archives, historical overview. As you probably know, in December 1989, in Romania, the communist regime was overthrown by a revolution, a bloody revolution. And then our society was faced with a question of how to manage the communist past. There was a divide in our society. There was some who sustained that the communist past shouldn't be scrutiny and that we just have to move on. And there were others who requested a more astute study of the past and to acknowledge the crimes of the communist era and assert responsibilities for those crimes. So, in March 1990, there was in Timișoara, who was the city in which the Romanian Revolution first initiated. A small group of people was making what is called the Timișoara Proclamation, in which in point 8 called for that no former member of the nomenclature of the Romanian Communist Party or the Securitate was in right to hold public office for a period of 10 years or 3 consecutive legislative terms. There was, in essence, an attempt to stop the former actors of the communist regime to continue to rule in Romania. Of course, this initiative wasn't very popular and was finally not put into work, but our institution is claiming historical legacy from this initiative. And it was a former political prisoner, Ticu Dumitrescu by his name, who took this idea and took it to the public office in the parliament, and finally he managed, after years of struggle, to make a law that finally became our law that founded the CNSAS, which is our institution. So, National Council for the Study of Securitate Archives is a central public administration authority. We are subordinated to the Romanian Parliament, but we are autonomous as IPN, I think it is. We are currently led by a council of 13 members, which are representing presidency, government, the main political parties, as well as the minorities, and also civil society. Our archives currently holds more than 1 million archival units on paper and more than 1.3 million microfilms. That are concerning a variety of files, starting with the files, individual files, the informative collection, which is individual files and surveillance files. Also, almost 500,000 files on paper and more than 500,000 files on microfilm concerning collaborators of the former Securitate. Also, there are criminal case files that concern public trials, public prosecutions, and so on from the Ministry of Justice. And also another types of files that are professional files concerning former Securitate officers, which are more than approximately 15,000. Also, files concerning documentary, index cards, or intercepted correspondence. Also, we have recordings files and videotapes. And recently, we are developing an exhibition that I hope you will see if you will join us this year in our conference in Bucharest. Overall, our archive spans from 28 linear kilometers, which is the third largest among similar institutions in Central Europe and Eastern Europe. Our legal mission, which I divided in three main activities. First is ensuring access to the documents in the archive for individual people and victims of the communist regime and their relatives. Second, it's public interested vetting on relation with the securitate of the person holding certain office position and public office position in Romania. And third, supporting historical research as well as informing the general public regarding the communist past. I'd like to say that the National Council for the Study of Securitate Archives ensures direct and unrestricted access to the files for the people for their own file. Also, for the persons who held the Romanian citizenship, also for the citizens of EU, and important for the citizens of the NATO member states. This was starting 2006. Also, Council records registered more than 62,000 viewing sessions with average 2,000, more than 2,000 visits per year. And as a request of individual institutions, CNSAS issued more than 14 million photocopies of documents from the Securitate archives in digital format. These are the documents that people took from CNSAS in various respects. Regarding vetting process, we have two main vetting procedures. First, concerning the ex-collaborators of the Securitate, and second is about the former officers of Securitate. CNSAS carries this vetting process both ex officio for the persons holding public offices and dignities, and upon request made by victims mainly of collaborators or officers. To show you a piece of information in order you to make a proper image, more than 3,000 persons were brought before justice in Romania, in Bucharest Court of Appeal, of whom more than 2,000 were former Securitate officers and more than 1,700 were former collaborators. All these cases were presented in public trials and were followed by media interest and society also. These are the main definitions of collaborators and officers of the former Securitate. As you can see, the process is not just to attribute to the person his quality as a former collaborator or officer. Also, we have to prove that their activities was aimed against fundamental freedoms and human rights. So we have to prove in each case that the activities of this person was aimed against human rights. This is, I think, makes our process democratic and very public and open in order to prosecute these people. Also, the procedure applies to the former Securitate or militia, which was another branch of Ministry of Interior in Romania, officers that are also brought to justice for violating fundamental human rights. And I would like to make this point that in Romania, at National Council for the Study of the Securitate Archives, it's not just an archive, it's an active archive. The documents are not just destined to the public knowledge or for the researchers and for the victims, but also they are used in public trials against those who violated human rights, which makes our activity, I think, very much in the area that also ICA is interested in. Finally, the mission of the CNSAS, which is the mission to research the past and also to allow the researchers to identify themes or documents for their research. More than 50 scholarly works were being published under CNSAS print, which is our own printing house. We published many volumes and documents about Securitate, about former officers, study and analyze the methods and mechanism of repression. And we very much try to create this public awareness about the communist regime crimes and also what it means to have a totalitarian regime, especially in these days in which our countries are confronted again with a new resurgence of communist nostalgia and also totalitarianism rise. I would like for last to add that since last year, our institution is part of a national plan which is aimed against the resurgence of communist nostalgia, and we are deeply involved in this national plan. So we hope that our institution will make a difference in this regard and also create this awareness that the crimes of the past and the totalitarian regime will never come back to this part of Europe. I'm not sure that I was addressing every aspect of interest, but I will end here and hope in the Q&A section we'll develop more of these issues. Thank you for our organizers, and I will wait the questions.
Yes, thanks a lot, Madeleine. I think it's very clear in what you have said that your archives are essential in this difficult interaction between the archives and the fight against impunity, and also in this whole transition towards democracy, the fight for human rights, and coping with painful past and repressive regime. So thanks a lot for this presentation. We will now move to the final institution, that is the historical archives of the Hungarian state security. So Dr. Gergő Bendegus Shah, you are the director of this institution, so please take the floor.
Thank you very much, dear Jens and dear colleagues. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll try to share my presentation. Is it visible? Can you see?
Not yet. Oh, okay, it's fine now.
Is it working?
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah. Okay. So, dear colleagues, thank you very much for the opportunity to present our institution, the Historical Archives of the Hungarian State Security here. I gave the title approaching the 13th birthday for this presentation because our institution, the Historical Archives, was don't know why it doesn't work. Yeah. Historical Archives was established in 1997, so we are approaching to our 13th birthday. A small remark, I will use this short version of our name, Historical Archives. Actually, our official name is much longer, but informally we use the shorter version. The Historical Archives is subordinate to the National Assembly of Hungary, and the main task is to preserve and handle the records of state security organizations existed between 1944 and 1990. The main functions and main tasks of our archives are quite similar to those of our partner institutions in Central Europe, in Poland or in Romania also. But there is a huge difference because the Historical Archives is the only archives among this network that is also responsible for the present-day national security documents and records. So in the future, our archives will take over the present Secret Service or national security authorities' records as well. In the future, of course, they are still classified and they will be for a long time. But in the future, will take over these records too. So we are a living archives in this point of view. So the main tasks of the archives are, for example, the first one is to provide information to the former victims, we can say so, including the descendants. We also provide information for scientific researchers. We preserve, restore, organize the archival records, as all public archives do. Certainly, we conduct on scientific projects as well, and we have a very active public education programs. I'd like to give a short example of this task now. Let me say a few words about the records. The Historical Archives is a very small archive. Honestly, we have 4.7 kilometers of records. And actually, the main reason of this lack of records is that vast majority of the records were destroyed before 1990. Actually, most of them were disappeared or destroyed during the 56 revolution, during and after the 56 revolution. But besides this 4.57 kilometers, we have more than 7 million recordings on microfilm, actually on the microfiche sheets. Here you can see a repository of the archives, one of the 6 repositories of the archives. And let me say, or let me mention some results in brief. We provide 40 to 50,000 photocopies to citizens every year. We have about 12,000 research visits per year, including online access events. We publish 6 to 9 scientific volumes and then 80 to 90 scientific articles, publications per year. And we have 3,000 to 4,000 visitors and students in the center of the archives. Besides of these 4,000 visitors, we have a permanent exhibition at the most feared former forced labor camp in Hungary, at Recsk, in the northern territory of the country. And we have a permanent exhibition there. You can see some pictures from this exhibition, and we have 15 to 18,000 visitors annually there in this exhibition. Let me mention some special features of our archives. First one, what I wanted to mention are our online services, because we provide a full online access for the researchers to the records, to the digitized records. You can see a screenshot of our online database here. And on the next slide, you can see a digitized page and the form of the e-research site of the archives. Here you can see an example that this online database is absolutely responsive, so can be used in every kind of screens, from mobile phones to laptops or huge screens. Another very important feature of our archives is public education. Here you can see an example, a picture of an open day in the archives. This is actually our exhibition hall full of visitors, and they are filling up questionnaires. It's like a quiz or a game, and you can see that these programs are quite popular among visitors. And here another example of an open day. Here you can see a large board game. The visitors are playing with a board game, and this game is dealing with historical events and historical data in a playful way. And this game is very popular among visitors every time. But we have a lot of other kind of games and public education programs for students and adults and children as well. Another important feature of our archives is our activity on social media sites. I have to say that historical archives is the most active archives in Hungary on social media. Here you saw our Facebook site, and now here you can see some examples our podcast site. And we here you can see our colleagues at the studio, because we have 2 series of podcasts. They are broadcasted regularly. And last but not least, I would like to say just a few words about our permanent exhibition. We built this small but very interactive exhibition hall just a few years ago. But the title of this exhibition is The Legacy of Dictatorship, and we tried to present the organization of state security authority and the interactivity with the society and the resistance of the society also. But actually, we call it not just an exhibition hall, but an exhibition hall and a community space, because this is a place where we hold lectures for students and the visitors. And this is a place where archivists and historians can meet and to change experiences and keep contact and being together. So this is what I wanted to say in 10 minutes or a little bit more. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask, or please contact us at our website, or you can see our email address here. And I'd like to say thank you again for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gergő. And this was also very interesting. And well, the fact that you keep the current security service archives is indeed an interesting feature. And then your activities with social media, outreach, and so forth. Well, I think there are many cross-cutting questions here that can be asked to the different institutions. So, and indeed, we have time now for questions. I would like to thank all of you for having respected the timing. We do have half an hour now for questions and answers. So just before coming to the questions that have come in on our from the participants, I would just like to ask one question which concerns the network, but which is addressed to all of you if you want to respond to this. I mean, the idea is that in spite of all the differences between your respective archival collections, there are also similarities in terms of the historical context, the types of repressive methods, and also the cooperation that took place during the time of communism between secret police forces in these countries and in other countries in this part of Europe. So I wonder, have you thought of developing standardized shared descriptions and access tools, maybe with some kind of unique access point for all institutions that are part of your network? Is this something you have discussed?
Maybe I will I will try to start, and then I will hand over the voice to the directors. From my perspective, it was very important, even crucial, to standardize description or even rules of working within the institution. Actually, it was a principle for us to do such standardization, but it was very complicated because we have to stick to our international law the laws that can differ from country to country, and that's the way. Even if you want like to conduct research on a same basis, sometimes it's difficult because in different countries can be different limitation according to, for example, protection of sensitive data, personal data, and other. That was very demanding for us. Actually, we're still working on that, and that's the way we are gathering from time to time and try to, sort out a common way of conducting our work. So maybe directors want to add something to.
Would any of you like to add something, or otherwise I'll move on?
I think Marek touched the very important part of this. We don't share that kind of information inside the network because we have a different rules in each country, and that's why we can't do this. But for example, in Poland, but also in some kind of in Romania and in Hungary, in a different country. In Poland, we have a public inventory where everyone can find the information about the documents which we have in our archive. But it's just the part of the descriptions. The full database is you can see this database in our reading rooms, and I believe that the same option is in Hungary, that you can see the description of the documents in reading rooms. But we can't share that kind of information because of the law in each of our countries.
Yes,
this is our limitation. This is our limitation.
Sure.
Yeah. Besides, it's vary from country to country drastically, I would say. For example, I saw on the chat there was example from Czech Republic when a person mentioned their experience that everything was very available online, and that's true. We know that in, for example, the Czech Republic, the access to document is rather broader than in other countries. So it's also a perfect example that it's not, like standardized yet, but some institutions have some limitation that we sometimes just cannot avoid. So maybe other directors want.
Yes. If it's not the case, we'll move to other questions.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. Only last question. I send you on the chat. I hope that you can see there are links to access policy among different institutions. If you want to learn more, please welcome to click the link, and then you can find out more from our website.
Excellent. That's very helpful. Thanks a lot, Marek.
May I have
sure.
some remarks?
Sure, Gagan.
Yes. So I absolutely agree with my Polish colleagues that the problem of the problems is that the legal frameworks are very different. But the next one is a huge problem. For example, for Hungary, that the language problem, because our records are mainly in Hungarian, and nobody understands Hungarian in the world, just inside the country, or immigrant Hungarians. So if we publish Hungarian state security records on the net, on the web, nobody will understand it. So just Hungarians. So it's a huge problem. This is why we tried to find the different type of records that Marek presented. That state security organizations had had regular meetings during the 60s and 70s. And these meetings had a very formal order, and for example, a Russian language minutes of these meetings, because you all know that Russian was lingua franca that time in Central and Eastern Europe. So this is where we are looking for the same language and the same type of document that can be understandable for all of us and for all foreign researchers.
Yes, right. So there are a number of challenges here because of the diversity, legal and also linguistic, although linguistic maybe can to some extent be solved with artificial intelligence and different language tools, but still I understand there are major challenges here. So let's move to the questions on the in the box here. There's one question for you, Marcina. You mentioned that a large part of the your collections are privately donated records. So how large is then the part of documents from the Polish secret police or other authorities in the Ministry of Interior? And well, and the law, then the act, does it cover both types of material, both the privately donated and the secret police?
Actually, thank you for this question, but actually the largest part of our collections are the documents produced by the communist apparatus of repression, including secret policy, prosecutors, courts, and the prison or the authorities. The private donations are the smallest part of our holdings. It's something around 1 running kilometers. It's not a big part of, not the largest part. The largest part are the documents produced during the period 1944 till 1990 by the communist apparatus in Poland. But what is important, and this is a difference between us and the colleagues in Romania and in Hungary, for example, that we also have in our archive documents produced by Germans and Soviets during the Second World War. And this part of our holdings are around 4 kilometers. That means that 89 running kilometers of documents are produced, are created by the secret policy and other institutions in Poland during the communist period.
Okay, thank you. And maybe I should ask at the same time another question also related to the legal framework, because there is a question about the special laws regarding access to the secret police files that you keep, and then general archival laws. Can you see any tension between those two types of laws? I mean, are there any legal conflicts about, I mean, making information available from the records due to the difference in legal framework?
Maybe I will start. Of course, there is a struggle between public expectation to open the archives widely from one side, but from the other side, we have some concerns about privacy and personal information, especially about the people who were victims or were persecuted by the system. So it's very, hard to find a golden mean between these expectations from both sides. And however, I think that's generally speaking is difficult. However, I would like to ask directors for their own thoughts about.
Well, if I may, yes.
Sure.
Okay, so I think that's a question in the Q&A section that just was addressing this issue. Of course, there is a difference between National Archives laws and our law for our archives, which is a special archives, as it was the archive of the former Securitate apparatus, which was kind of an intelligence service. Of course, there are differences. Basically, the same rules apply to our archive, but the main issue is that some information are still not available, public available. We in Romania struggle still in order to acquire more parts of the archive which are classified under the term of national security, as is in our country, the law that permits that some parts of the archive are still not available even to us at National Council for the Study of Securitate Archives. So of course there are issues and we are trying to address them. It's an ongoing process to declassify and make available to the public those records. We are struggling also to map the former Securitate archive, as in Romania after 1989, the archive was basically split between many institutions which took the files and as for their own use. So we are talking about the process of first acquiring more of this archive, second to put it publicly, and of course in a longer term we think that all this archive will enter public circuit through national archives.
Mm-hmm.
In Poland, of course, like in Romania and in Hungary, we are dedicated archives. We have dedicated legal framework. We are independent. We are separate from the general state archival system. And in Poland, all rules are put in the Act of the IPN, which was created in 1998, but a few times was changed. And everything is put there in this Act, and all rules are put there. At the beginning, there were some tension between National Archives and the IPN archive, but now everything is clear. Everyone understands the differences. The only limitation in the IPN is that the top secret documents, the classified documents. But today, this part of our holdings is not very big one, because in 2017 the law was changed, and now it's all around 300 meters. It's not much. We are actually very open archive, but still we have a dedicated rules for our archive, not the same like in the National Archives. But the very important information, I think, in IPN archive, you can't find the documents created or produced by the Communist Party. These kind of documents are in National Archives. And you have different rules, for example, for access to this kind of documents in National Archives and in the IPN archive.
Thank you, Martina. And you mentioned there is a limited amount of the archives in your holdings that are not publicly accessible, which takes me to another question that has been raised, which concerns indeed restricted records. And this is a question to all of you. This is a researcher who asked that whether there are categories of records but that have restrictions, for instance, to be remain closed for 50 or 100 years. And in that case, what kind of records are we talking about here? Would any of you like to address this question?
Yeah.
Sure.
May I start it?
Yes.
It's a very important question, the present restrictions of records. I have to say that in our archives, we have very, very limited amount of restricted or confidential or secret files. So actually, most of the restrictions are because of the protection of personal data. That's the main restriction in our archives, because we have to protect the personal data of mainly the sensitive personal data of the former victims. So this is the main restriction. But actually, the main problem in Hungary is that we don't know exactly what amount of records from the socialist period are still in the hands of the present-day secret services, because they have right. There are intelligence service in Hungary, of course, and the counterintelligence service and military intelligence. So and these authorities have a right to keep the classification of the records if they are harmful for the national security. So the main problem in Hungary, as I see, that we cannot see how we have no access to these documents. We don't know the amount of this secret this still classified documents, and secret services still have a right to keep them secretly, and we don't have any access to these records. So this is the problem, because we don't know how much records or what kind of records they have. They still have from the socialist period. This is one of the greatest problems in this field. I think so. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thanks a lot. One other question relating to relating to access, really. Marek, you referred to it before. There was this question from a researcher who has worked in the Czech secret police archives, and who noted that access was very open there, more so than he says that in the archives in Hungary. Then he asks whether there is a general effort among you, in fact, a kind of international effort or within your network to promote access, to make access easier across countries, across institutions.
Yes, of course, we are still thinking about it. There have been many initiatives, common initiatives. I mentioned about only two. One was this website with archival documents documenting cooperation with secret services. As you can imagine, it was easier for us because we didn't have much data containing personal information. There were mostly reports that made our work easier because we didn't have to struggle with personal data. And this was one example of way which we can follow. The second, exhibition and publication. Exhibition, for example, the files to be destroyed was rise to great publicity because there were many people that were unfamiliar how many documents of communist secret services were destroyed just before the communist system collapsed. So it was an organized action that took many years before the communism collapsed, that the secret officer destroyed evidence of their work. And it was very interesting, to compare from many sides these activities. Besides that, we are still working for enabling users doing research, and I think that many institution has other ideas for that. We, as an Institute of National Remembrance, for example, streamline the process of providing access to researchers and journalists, because it's easiest for us to provide access to these two groups of people. So it's quite easy in Poland, I think, to submit a request and gain documents once you are a researcher or journalist, regardless from Poland or from abroad, because we also hosted journalists and historians from other countries that used our archives. So I think that could be many other initiatives that we could follow, to ease or facilitate the work with the archives.
Good. Well, thanks, Marek. In fact, there's a question which puts kind of argues that there may be problems with kind of unlimited access in any case, or very wide access, because there's a researcher who writes that in principle that it can be imagined that there can be issues with the credibility of documents found in the archives of secret services. I mean, some of them may have been manipulated by secret police forces. So therefore, it could be argued that it is not unproblematic to allow for broad public access to such material with potentially sensitive and possibly misleading personal information. So the question from this researcher is to all of you, of course, would you agree or disagree with such an argument? Or do you know of any problematic use of the archives in your country? This is for all of you, those of you who would like to respond.
It's a very difficult and broadened question to ask about. However, you mentioned this problem whether the documents are authentic or they're useful. I think that not many people realize that they could be biased, so they only can show a perspective, some perspective only from communist secret services, their ideology and values. So in that way, we have to be careful, not only judge a person only by the documents from secret services archives, but also from other sources.
Would any of you, the directors, do you have any comments on this? I mean, manipulated documents that could be made publicly available and maybe cause distress or problems for persons concerned with receiving information.
May I have a remark?
Yes.
Yes, many times the state security records are falsified or manipulated or created to blackmail someone. So yeah, you are right. But if a scientist, for example, a historian, is doing research, it is his or her responsibility to evaluate the files, the records, and honestly, archival records or just records are falsified all the time in the history. From the beginning of the civilization. So this is the responsibility of the researchers to evaluate this problem, because we all know that the records are falsified many times and everywhere in the world. And just another remark for the accessibility. May I ask one question? We are talking about the full access or a full availability of secret archives or secret service archives in the Central Europe, but we all know that secret service records are classified everywhere for a long time in the world, in the democratic world also. During the communist period in Central Europe or Eastern Europe, there were a lot of, for example, there were, for example, atomic plants or critical infrastructures that were protected by secret service authorities or secret service organizations. The critical infrastructure in a country is all the time protected by secret services, and no country and no secret services grant free access to these records in the democratic world or anywhere in the world. So, for example, in Hungary, we have an atomic plant near the river Danube. This plant was built during the socialist period in the early 80s, and of course, a nuclear plant was protected by secret service methods and secret service organizations, and still protected by secret services till now. But this is very similar in France or in Great Britain. So this is what I wanted to mention about full accessibility of secret service records. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Gerd. I think we could have a very interesting discussion on this, in fact, with including police archives from other parts of the world, indeed.
If I may,
yes,
thank you. Very interesting discussion, indeed, and a very difficult point to make. Interesting question, because at first I would like to stress something out. There is little resemblance between the state Securitate political police and an intelligence service in democratic regards as today. In Romania, we have this discussion, of course, ex-Securitate officers claiming that they were intelligence officers. This was false, because they were not intelligence officers. They were serving in an ideological point of view, the Communist Party. So, addressing your questions about the credibility of records. Of course, for a researcher, it's very difficult to take for granted everything that is written in these files. If you, for example, are writing a biography of such and such personage, you have, of course, this regard of the records which the political police is making, but you have also you have to regard to other sources in order to find the truth about this person. We don't have to forget that these records are created with an intent. they are not containing the whole truth. They are, as technically speaking, they are operative records. That means the political police was using them in order to survey people, in order to incarcerate them, in order to violate their privacy and so on. But I will stress out that from the point of view of the Securitate, as far as I was able to determine, there was no interest in falsifying most of these documents, because there were documents that they use. The documents must contain the truth in order for them to use them. So there is a fine line between and that's of course very interesting discussion that you may have. In Romania, we have this approach, for example, from ex-Securitate officers or ex-collaborators of the Securitate, which are claiming that the documents are false because they are incriminated by them. And of course, ex-collaborator of Securitate has all the interest in saying, oh, these documents are false because it wasn't me who signed. It wasn't me who was making these notes. It wasn't me that was doing all these things. Everything is invented. So very, very difficult discussion, but with very astute and diligence, you can find the truth in all these matters.
Thank you very much for all these very interesting, pertinent comments. Now, I'm afraid we have to wrap up now. We are just past time, and there are still a few questions that remain to be answered. But as I said to begin with, we'll try to follow up on this by email. So those of you who have asked questions that have not been replied to, don't despair. We will do our best to follow up with our speakers after this webinar. And so I want to thank our speakers warmly for having participated and having shared their insights. It has been very stimulating, I think. Well, so thank you so much to all of you. And I also want to give a special thanks to Perrine Canavaggio, who organizes this series of webinars for the section on archives and on human rights, the first Tuesday of every second month of the year, and to Andreas Neff, who is the technology backbone and without whom these webinars would not be possible. So recordings of this webinar, as well as all the others we have organized, they are available on our page on the ICA website. You can find them there. Well, this one will soon be available there as well. And our next webinar, maybe I'll give the floor to you, Perrine, so you can just mention when our next webinar will take place. As far as I'm concerned, I just say thank you very much and give the floor to Perrine.
Thanks, Jens, and thanks to all and especially to the participants for their active involvement. The next first Tuesday talk will take place on 7 April, and we will have a presentation of the UNRWA archives, the United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees, and it will be presented by Roger Hearn, who is the director of the Relief and Social Services of UNRWA. So thanks again and see you soon.
Thank you so much. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.